It was supposed to be a quiet drive home, just me and Aiko, heading back from her grandmother's house. The rain was coming down hard, drumming against the windshield, but I didn't think much of it. The roads were empty, dark, just the way they always were on nights like this. The rhythmic swipe of the windshield wipers was almost calming, and Aiko was drifting off, hugging her stuffed bunny. Then I saw her. At first, she was just a shadow in the headlights, standing in the middle of the road, soaked to the bone. I hit the brakes, tires screeching as the car slid to a halt. The figure became clearer, a woman, wearing a red kimono, her long hair plastered to her face by the rain. She didn't move, just stood there, like she had all the time in the world. "Miss, are you all right?" I called out through the cracked window, leaning out to get a better look. "Why are you standing here in the middle of the road?" She was silent at first, then slowly lifted her head. Her eyes, there was something about them. Wide, dark, almost empty. "Am I pretty?" she asked, her voice barely rising above the sound of the rain. It was an odd question, and I didn't know what to say. But before I could respond, she reached near me and pulled down a mask, and what I saw next was something I wish I could forget. A grotesque smile, carved deep into her skin. My stomach turned, and a chill crawled up my spine. I slammed the car into gear and floored it, my hands shaking on the wheel as I sped down the road. "Papa, who was that?" Aiko's voice was trembling now. She was wide awake, clutching her bunny so tight I thought she might squeeze the stuffing out of it. "It was nothing, sweetheart," I lied. "Just some woman." But as the words left my mouth, I knew I didn't believe them. I kept driving, trying to shake the image of that face, that twisted, unnatural smile. But it was as if the road itself had betrayed me, because no matter how fast I drove, there she was again, standing at the side of the road, watching us, her kimono drenched, her eyes fixed on me like she was waiting for something. Then the car's engine sputtered, and we coasted to a stop near an old, abandoned rest stop. I cursed under my breath. This couldn't be happening. I grabbed the flashlight from the glove box and stepped out into the rain. Aiko too followed. The cold soaked through me instantly. I swept the beam of light down the road, the mist swallowing everything beyond a few feet. There was nothing there, no sign of her, just the rain and the dark. But then I heard it, a faint rustling behind me. I spun around, and there she was, only a few steps away. I don't know how she got so close without making a sound, but there she stood, her red kimono clinging to her form, her hair dripping water onto the pavement. "Am I pretty?" she asked again, her voice softer this time, almost like a plea. "What do you want?" I shouted, trying to keep the flashlight steady. "Why are you following us?" She took a step forward, her gaze never leaving mine. "Do you remember this road?" she whispered, the rain almost drowning out her words. Now here she was, changed, her face twisted into that unnatural smile, her voice carrying the weight of the grave. Something about the way she said it. It was like a key turning in a lock. I didn't even know was there. The memories came flooding back, hitting me like a wave. I had driven this road before, on a night just like this, with the rain pouring down and the darkness pressing in. It was the night I left my girlfriend behind. We had fought, shouted things at each other that I regretted even before I drove away. I left her here, on the side of the road, and never looked back. "It's you," I breathed, the realization sinking into my bones. But how? Her eyes, once hollow and cold, flickered with something else now. Sorrow, maybe, or anger. "You left me," she said, "alone in the dark." Her voice cracked as if she were on the edge of breaking down. but the twisted smile stayed frozen on her face. Papa! Aiko's small voice broke the spell. She was standing outside the car next to me, her little feet splashing in the puddles. Who is she? No, Aiko. Get in the car. I yelled, my voice raw with panic. I wanted to run to her, to shield her from whatever this thing was, but I couldn't move. It was like the ground had turned to quicksand, trapping me in place. The woman, my ex-girlfriend, or what was left of her, turned to Aiko, her gaze softening, the smile fading into a sad line. She knelt down to my daughter's level, her voice a fragile whisper. I'm someone who was forgotten, she said, reaching out with a trembling hand. As Aiko touched her, her form seemed to dissolve, fading into the mist like a wisp of smoke caught in the wind. The road was empty again, just like before, the rain easing to a soft drizzle. I walked back to the car, my legs heavy, my mind buzzing with questions that had no answers. But one thing was clear. That woman, or spirit, or whatever she was, she had come back to find me. To remind me of the night I left her behind. As I drove away, the headlights cut through the mist, and I kept glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see her standing there, waiting. But there was nothing, only the dark road stretching out behind us, and many questions unanswered.